Many people are having trouble with their finances, and our daily lives have changed a lot. It is said that Princess Anne put Queen Camilla in her place, which caused a lot of trouble in the British royal family. The walls of the castle may not be talking, but we are. There are rumors that the two most important women in the royal family are having a fight, which has made everyone wonder what's really going on behind those golden walls. There's more, though. Some changes are being made to the family's finances that are sure to shock everyone. Get your popcorn ready because we're going to talk a lot about this royal drama that could really change the future of the crown. What Princess Anne told the truth about Queen Elizabeth. Princess Anne has always been known for being direct and not taking things personally. When she recently talked about her mother, Queen Elizabeth, it was like seeing inside the private life of one of the most admired people in modern history. Princess Anne has a unique point of view because she is the only daughter of the late Queen. That's why the news she recently shared about her mother's personal problems was so moving. Anne's story gives us a unique look into the life of both a queen and a mother. She was a woman who carried the weight of a whole country on her shoulders while also dealing with all the problems that come up in her own life. One thing that really jumped out in Princess Anne's revelations was how she talked about how her mother felt about the royal family divorces. Now, everyone knows that Queen Elizabeth is the perfect example of stoic ease. She always looked like she couldn't get upset, right? But behind that calm exterior was a real person who was dealing with grief and pain. Anne told her mother that the divorce talks were very upsetting for her. The royal family is now under a lot of stress. There is no doubt about where Princess Anne stands with Queen Camilla. It's not what you'd expect, trust me. Why did Anne do something so brave? How is Camilla handling this fight between the royal families? Watch out, because the drama going on behind the scenes is getting worse. 3 of Queen Elizabeth II's 4 children's marriages failed. That must hurt, right? Princess Anne even remembered a time when the Queen, in a rare sign of anger and sadness, just said, 3 out of 4, we didn't get to see this side of the Queen very often. A mother who was sad and worn out but couldn't fully show her grief in public because, well, she was the Queen. Charles Anson, the Queen's former press secretary, says that no matter how bad things were in her personal life, she never let it show. She was never angry or short-tempered. Even when everything around her seemed to be falling apart, she always stayed calm and steady. Isn't that interesting? You have to ask yourself, how did she do that? How was she able to stay so calm when everyone was so interested in her private life through the media and public? Without a doubt, it shows how strong she is. She also felt a duty to her country that started when she became queen. She knew she was more than just a wife or mother. For a whole country, she stood for security and continuity, and that was always her first job. But Anne didn't just talk about her mother's problems. I also found it very interesting that she talked about how the Queen was trying to bring the throne up to date. It's easy to forget that Queen Elizabeth's rule was during a time of huge change, and she had to figure out how to keep the monarchy relevant in a world that was always changing. Anne talked about how her mother seemed to know right away how the kingdom needed to change while still keeping its many traditions. It's not easy to keep that in balance. In 1957, when the Queen decided to show the royal Christmas broadcast on TV, it was one of the most important steps she took to bring the throne up to date. It may not seem important now, but it was a big deal at the time. All of a sudden, everyone wasn't just talking about the Queen. They saw her in their living rooms and heard her talking to them. For some reason, it made the government seem a little more open and personal. She didn't stop there either. The Queen also gave permission for the State Start of Parliament to be shown on TV. That was a brave thing to do at the time. She did this to take the mystery out of the monarchy and show the people that the royal family wasn't some faraway, untouchable institution, but rather an important part of the country's democracy. Anne also said that her mother knew that being queen wasn't just about the pomp and circumstance. There were real responsibilities, and sometimes that meant giving up things that were important to them. As leader of the Commonwealth, the Queen was always traveling, which meant she often spent time away from her family. Even though she didn't want to be away from home all the time, she knew it was part of her job. Isn't that what service means, doing what you're supposed to do, even if it's hard or takes time? The things Princess Anne said about Queen Elizabeth showed how responsible and dedicated she was all her life. She wasn't just a leader, she was a queen who worked. An important person who took her job very seriously, even if it cost her a lot. The Queen stayed true to herself by balancing tradition and modernity, duty and family, public service and personal loss. It was clear that she carried a lot more than we thought. There is real friction between the royal family. It doesn't look good for Queen Camilla because Princess Anne has drawn a line through her. How does this royal fight change the way things work in the palace? There were so many exciting events that we can't list them all here. Don't leave until you've heard the whole royal scoop. When it comes to the British throne, the Balmoral Summit changed everything. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The most powerful and important members of the royal family are all in one room to talk about the future of an organization that has been around for hundreds of years. The whole thing began with King Charles. Well, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Princess Catherine, Princess Anne, and a few other top royals, basically the big guns of the monarchy, were there with King Charles to talk about some of the most important problems the royal family is facing right now. And trust me, these aren't small problems. At the center of this meeting was Prince William, who has been really moving up. To say the least, his ideas were bold. He seems to be thinking about the future and wants to make things better. Prince William doesn't want to just be a king and do what everyone else does. He wants to make a real, measurable difference. Some of the things that really matter to him are homelessness, mental health, and protecting the environment. He wants the royal family to get more involved in helping with these issues. Now things really start to get interesting. One of his more controversial plans was to cut back on the royal budget. You ask how? By letting people like Queen Camilla's son, daughter, and sister work for the royal family without getting paid. That's a brave move, right? William didn't end there. A bit of a reshuffle was also mentioned. He said that Queen Camilla's duties should be taken over by younger royals like Duchess Sophie and Princess Catherine. When you think about it, it makes sense. Rather than just showing up for photo ops and ribbon cuttings, he's all about what he calls social leadership. This means making changes in the community. As you might guess, though, not everyone liked these ideas. Queen Camilla walked in and she was not happy at all. It was said that she was very angry about these planned changes. She didn't hold back when I say she was angry, in particular when it came to how she felt about Princess Catherine. People say that things got so hot that Princess Catherine and Princess Anne were shocked. Can you picture how tense that room must have been? Now, Camilla's protest wasn't just about the job cuts or the shifting of tasks. Some people close to her say she told King Charles not to meet with Prince Harry, even though they were both in the same country for the first time in months. Why did she do it? The king's health could be affected by the stress of such a meeting, especially since he is allegedly getting treatment for cancer. As if the stress at the summit wasn't enough, there is also family drama, with Camilla being very important in giving the king advice. The meeting has shown that there are big disagreements in the royal family, mainly between Camilla and the younger royals like William and Catherine. And let's be honest, it's not easy to change customs and expectations that have been around for hundreds of years. Still, all of this makes you wonder what it all means for the future of the government. Will William be able to make his dream of a modern royal family that is involved in society come true? How fast will things move if Camilla fights back? One thing is for sure, we don't know the answers yet. There have been big changes since the Balmoral summit. Now here's another question. What does this mean for the king? He wants to support his wife Camilla, but he also wants to support his son's plan for a more modern government. It's no secret that Charles's rule has been rough so far. Now he has to figure out how to balance all of these different needs. Along with all of this, the monarchy is also under pressure from outside sources, such as public scrutiny and the continued effects of Harry and Meghan's step down. Can King Charles handle everything and take care of his health at the same time? The royal family may only be at the start of a long and difficult journey after reaching the top. There are more and more internal tensions and generational differences that stand out. You can't help but wonder how long the old ways of doing things will last. Change is going to happen, right? But the question is how much change the monarchy can handle before it starts to lose what makes it unique, William and Camilla. Everyone, including Catherine, has a part to play in this story, and let's be honest, it's a slippery dance. It's possible that the decisions made at that meeting will have royal implications for many years to come. What will the government do? Will it change or stick to the old ways? We need to wait and see. Changing the way the royal family spends their money, it's almost like the winds of change are blowing through Buckingham Palace, Sandringham, and all the other royal homes. Streamlining the government has been King Charles' main goal, and he has been very focused on it. He's not just skimping here and there, he's really looking at how much money the royal family has. Really, who could blame him? People all over the country are having a hard time with rising costs of living, so the monarchy spending has been closely looked at. That's why it's not a surprise that King Charles wants the process to be cheaper. But this isn't just about saving money. It has to do with making the government smaller and more up to date with the times. His decision to rethink how the royal home works makes sense, especially when you think about how hard money is for everyone right now. People are keeping an eye on their spending, so the monarchy needs to show it knows what's going on and is ready to change. One of the most interesting things King Charles wants to do is cut the royal staff by a huge 20%. That's a pretty big number, right? But it makes sense if you look at it more closely. It sounds like King Charles and Queen Camilla have been chatting about how too many people do the same jobs at the royal homes. Like, why does each home need its own full kitchen staff when the royal family and their workers could all be served by the same staff? It seems like a good question, but you're not sure why it's being asked now. It's almost like the royal family has been living in a bubble of custom, where things are done a certain way because that's how they've always been done. This is going on all over, not just at Buckingham Palace. You will be able to feel these changes at Windsor Castle, Balmoral, and Sandringham as well. Many people think that the goal here is to properly pay the staff that is still there while cutting the number of workers overall. All of this is part of a bigger plan to make the monarchy work better. At first glance, it seems like a smart business move, but at the same time, can the royal family keep up their air of grandeur with fewer people working behind the scenes? Now though, things get really interesting. This change in the way money is handled isn't just about saving money. Sorry. Also, it's about dealing with stresses that have been building for years or even decades. More and more people are speaking out about how much the monarchy costs taxpayers. Reports from researchers say that the royal family costs the country more than £500 million a year. That number really blows your mind, doesn't it? And to think that this number isn't just for the national grant, which is going to go up by £45 million every year. The real pain is the money that the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster lost. Certain individuals argue that these duchies belong to the state and should not be seen as private properties owned by the Windsor family. There is a discussion about that seems like it will get better over time. With all of this stress, King Charles is trying to bring the kingdom up to date and make it ready for the future. He is working closely with Prince William, and it sounds like they are getting ideas from other European monarchs. It seems like they want to keep the royal family important without spending too much money on them. They think that the people will like this smaller, less expensive royal family better. It's easy to understand where they're coming from. After all, how people see things is very important. Things could get dangerous if people think the monarchy is an extra stress. There are some family members who don't like these changes, though. Princess Anne has been very clear about what she thinks. She has strong doubts about whether a smaller monarchy can really do everything it needs to do. You really can't deny her point. The royal family has a lot of responsibilities, both in the real world and in the royal ceremonies. If there are fewer people to do them, something might get missed. What will happen if this new, smaller royal family can't do everything that's called for of them? That might not be simple to answer. It looks like the royal family is walking a line as all of this goes on. Tradition is pulling them in one direction, and modern expectations are pulling them in a different way. It won't be easy to balance these two forces, and the result will affect the future of the British monarchy for years, maybe even generations. Princess Anne is no longer holding back. She finally showed Camilla where she really belongs, and now everyone in the royal family is talking about it. How did this sad event happen, and what does it mean for their future? Stay with us as we figure out what's going on with the royal family, because the facts will surprise you. Adding new royals who work. How does the monarchy stay current without losing the essence of traditions that have been around for hundreds of years? We're really dancing on the edge. It's hard to keep the weight of past while also accepting the changes that are needed to fit in with modern life. Really, who hasn't thought about how the royal family stays a symbol of history while also appealing to a wider range of younger people? One clear way the royal family has become more visible in public again is by realizing how important it is to connect with younger people. There's been a clear change, right? It's no longer enough for monarchs to wave from staircases and cut ribbons at fancy events. Now it's about taking part in the most important problems facing society right now. This duty has been taken on by the younger royals, especially Prince William and Princess Catherine. And it's not just going to charity events or giving money to good causes. They work on projects that change things in real, measurable ways. Despite his great respect for tradition, King Charles III is at the center of this modernization. He thinks that for the monarchy to stay relevant, it needs to be involved in the political and social issues of today. His attention on issues like homelessness and protecting the environment is a big change from the past, when the royal family stayed out of these kinds of problems, taking an active role in attempts to deal with these problems. But wait, this isn't just about Charles. The younger royal family members have really taken over. People like William and Catherine are more than just leaders. They are now taking on roles that older royals used to have, but are giving up because of age or other reasons. They're sending a strong message that youth is important to the future of the monarchy and that they care about problems that young people care about. They show that the government can be both a force for good and a sign of change by putting mental health, climate change, and early childhood education at the center of their work. Doesn't that give you hope that the royal family can keep changing while staying true to its roots? When it comes to modernization, the royal family doesn't just care about causes and public looks. It's also about how they talk to people around the world. Do you remember how Queen Elizabeth II demanded that her coronation be shown on TV in the 1950s? At the time, that was a big deal. Now, years later, the younger royals have taken that same willingness to use technology and run with it. They need to use social media, digital platforms, and online efforts to connect with people all over the world, hoping that one day her children and grandchildren would share Instagram posts and tweet about the good things they are doing. Still, we're here, and it's working. People want to feel like they have a personal relationship with famous people, so the royal family uses modern technology to make sure that they are always easy to reach and understand. The royal family is very aware of modernity, but they also value customs. After all, it's the traditions that give the monarchy a sense of stability and continuity. That's why, for example, the royal family still takes part in ceremonies that are hundreds of years old, plays traditional music at official events, and follows a strict set of rules when they're in public. It's hard to change without hanging on to the past, but they seem to be getting along pretty well, don't you think? King Charles has made it clear that he is both forward-thinking and wants to be like his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in terms of her global impact and high status. He wants to be both approachable and grand, human and royal. That's what makes the royalty so interesting, right? Celebrating isn't enough, you also need to keep one foot in the past while moving into the future. When we talk about the future, let's not forget about the Commonwealth, which is the bigger stage on which the Queen acts. The royal family is more than just a sign of the country. It's a link between countries all over the world. Many more royal tours, especially to places like Canada, will help to strengthen these links. Can the government deal with these changing circumstances while still having power? Time will tell. But it's clear that adding new working royals will be very important for keeping the royal family important on the world stage. Listen up, royal drama. Camilla was just told what she did was wrong by Princess Anne, which is making a lot of noise behind palace doors. What did Anne do that Camilla couldn't believe? Why now? Stay tuned to find out what's really going on between these two powerful royals. This much stress has never been seen before. You won't believe how everything turned out. Camilla, Queen, doesn't want things to change. Queen Camilla is getting a lot of attention because she doesn't seem to want to change. You might wonder why someone in her shoes would be so careful. It makes sense when you think about Camilla's long and difficult rise from being one of Britain's least liked public figures to a respected royal family member. She's had a hard time climbing. She has worked hard to fix her public image, so it makes sense that she doesn't want to make waves. Camilla is being careful for both emotional and strategic reasons. Let's not forget that this woman was once slandered by both the people and the press. Being called the most hated woman in Britain wasn't exactly what she wanted, but after years of hard work, she's been able to change people's minds and earn her place in the royal family. Do you feel this weak acceptance? She doesn't want to risk losing everything by making big changes, especially ones that might throw off the balance she's worked so hard to create. A lot of her doubt is clear when we see how she's dealt with King Charles' health problems. While the king is getting treatment for cancer, Camilla has been by his side and told him to stay away from things that could cause him stress. This includes the talks with Prince Harry that have been talked about a lot. Let's be honest, meeting with a son who has spoken out against the royal family. That is sure to make things tense. Camilla wants to protect this person very much. King Charles' health is the most important thing to her and she won't let family problems hurt it. Is that her fault? Queen Camilla is putting changes on hold for more than just King Charles' health. Also, she's been stepping up when he's not around by going to more public events, -13 to be exact since he was diagnosed. Despite this, she has been very hesitant to fully take on a bigger part in the monarchy. You have to wonder why they don't want to do it. Well, Camilla is very aware of the fact that she is fairly new to the family. Ailsa Anderson, who used to be Queen Elizabeth II's press assistant, even brought this up. Camilla is aware that her position in the royal family has grown stronger, but it is still not completely stable. Getting too much attention might not be good for everyone, especially since some people are still getting used to her. But Camilla's refusal to give in hurts more than just her. Because she is protective and doesn't like change, there is a certain dynamic in the family that the younger royals like Prince William and Princess Catherine have to carefully manage. You may have noticed that Prince William and Princess Catherine want the government to be more modern and simple. They think it's important to change the royal family's look and keep up with the times. But here's the catch. The fact that Queen Camilla is hesitant to move in that direction could lead to problems. They seem to be pulling in different ways. William and Catherine, who want to change things, are on one side, and Camilla, who wants to stick to the past, is on the other. Afterwards, there's the matter with Harry. It is said that Queen Camilla told Charles not to meet with Prince Harry. This makes things even more complicated in a family that is already very tense. Harry's split from his family is one of the most talked about royal stories of the past few years, and any chance of getting back together depends on hard, emotional choices. The fact that Camilla has a say in these matters shows how personal ties and strategic concerns are linked when it comes to planning the future of the monarchy. Do you ever think about how things might have been different if Queen Camilla hadn't told King Charles to be more careful? Still, Camilla's unwillingness to change has some good points. It can be tense, but her focus on security is also one of her strengths. When it comes to a family or organization that has been around for hundreds of years, it's smart to be careful. Crowns might forget where they came from if they change too quickly. Camilla doesn't seem ready to take that chance. Her cautious approach balances out some of the more advanced ideas that are going around, making sure that when change does happen, it lasts. Slow and steady does win the race sometimes. Queen Elizabeth's idea and Princess Anne's help. It turned out that Princess Anne shared some long-kept feelings from the late Queen Elizabeth herself at a secret family gathering. Princess Anne told everyone that Queen Elizabeth had always pictured Princess Catherine playing a much bigger and more important part in the future of the monarchy than anyone might have thought. It wasn't just about Catherine becoming a standard queen consort who will stand by Prince William when he becomes king. The late Queen, however, saw Catherine as playing a much bigger and more important role in the future of the royal family, maybe even more important than just being a symbol. This has made a lot of people wonder what else Queen Elizabeth was planning behind closed doors. Queen Camilla was allegedly horrified when she heard about the late Queen's tastes. What must have been going through her mind is hard to picture. Queen Camilla had worked hard for years to solidify her place in the royal family, win the public support after some very rough years, and help King Charles become king. All of a sudden, she found herself in a situation that must have felt like betrayal. Could this one thing Princess Anne said really destroy everything Queen Camilla had worked for? Did the Queen not trust Camilla enough to know that she would be a major figure in the future of the monarchy? It was clear that this news made Camilla feel very sad. It seemed to call into question not only her place in the family, but also the sacrifices she'd made over the years. Also, don't forget about Princess Anne. Anne has changed the whole dynamic in the royal family by putting Queen Elizabeth's preferences to light. She seemed to be reminding everyone, even Queen Camilla, that there is a bigger game going on. Queen Elizabeth is still influencing the direction of the monarchy, even though she has died. Some people might say it's not really a surprise. Queen Catherine has been a great fit for her job ever since she first came to public attention. She has always seemed like she was meant for something bigger because of her grace, sense of duty, and friendship with the people. But this must have been hard for Camilla to take since she worked so hard to get where she is. And how Princess Anne brought up the late Queen's vision, that almost certainly made things even more tense inside the house. There is a bit more to it than that, though. In public, Queen Elizabeth always stood by Charles and Camilla. We all remember what she said on the day she became queen, don't we? She was adamant that Charles and his queen wife should be supported, kept together, and united. It was easy to understand. She wished that Camilla would have the support of her family and everyone else. But how could that public stance be different from the message Anne sent privately? One world had Camilla in the right place, and the other world was shaping Princess Catherine for an even bigger part. It's almost like Queen Elizabeth was trying to find a balance between the two. This is the end of the movie. Thanks for seeing. If you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to get more. Click on the movie that comes up next to read more exciting stories.